All right, let's get this video done. I'm sure nobody else is talking about this today. Oh, you So we've been talking a lot about the alleged Nintendo Direct that is happening. If you watched my stream last night, or I guess it was kind of yesterday afternoon, I actually made a prediction of the date of it. I'm saying it's going to happen on September 14th. I'm basing that on absolutely nothing, but it's just sort of a feeling. But of course, when it comes to a Nintendo Direct, there's a lot of stuff that ties into it. And one thing that we've been sort of talking about is the Nintendo Switch Online service. A lot of people feel like with the expansion pack side of things, it's time to add in a new console. And that's what gets everyone excited, because then you get new games added into this stuff. So one of the consoles that's been heavily talked about is the Nintendo Gamecube, a console that was sort of a end of an era for Nintendo when you really think about it, because after the GameCube, they pretty much left the Power Wars. The GameCube was one of the strongest platforms on the market. It wasn't quite as strong grunt-wise as something like the original Xbox was, but when you have the PlayStation 2 in comparison, the GameCube was a much stronger system. You also had progressive scan for games that still look fantastic today. A fun system, a really good system, and it seems like GameCube games are finally coming to the Nintendo Switch. So everyone's getting excited for this, but it's not quite how you wanted it to be. Or maybe it is. It kind of just depends on what sort of gamer you are, because like I've been talking about, it seems like that Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD are indeed coming to the Nintendo Switch via a dual pack. Now, we've talked a lot about it over the past few weeks. Is what it is. Obviously, these are technically Wii U games, but they did start out life on the GameCube. There was a GameCube version of Wind Waker. That's where that game came out. To much critical confusion, I would say. You know, the graphics engine of that game was gorgeous. It still looks great today, but in retrospect is when we sort of enjoy this. When it first came out, everyone was like, where's the realistic style? You know, we're coming off the N64. Give me the realistic style that we still haven't quite ever gotten with The Legend of Zelda. And of course, Twilight Princess came out at the end of the system's life cycle. Also a Wii game that was launched alongside of the Wii. I played the Wii version of the game, so technically I've never played the GameCube version of the game. The controls are kind of, well, not the controls, but the hands are different and reversed and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with that. So while people are looking forward to those games, I feel it seems like those games are pretty much a foregone conclusion. We go back to the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, because is Nintendo finally going to add GameCube in it, or are they going to go in a different route? Now, all of this is just speculation. This entire video is just speculation based on things that I have heard from other people. And it seems like they're not going in the direction of just adding the GameCube to the Nintendo Switch Online service, instead doing remakes of GameCube stuff or potential remasters. You know, how far down the rabbit hole they will go, that really remains to be seen. But once again, we have another game that's been heavily rumored and heavily talked about with Metroid Prime. Allegedly, Metroid Prime, the first game in the franchise, is getting a full-on remaster. Not quite like built from the ground up, but sort of. I've heard a lot of varying things about this, but essentially what this game is going to be is basically something made to showcase the Nintendo Switch. This isn't something that's just, you know, HD visuals of the original Metroid Prime game, just cleaning up the textures or anything like that. There's actually new textures added into it. There's like new visuals that are being done with this game. So for that, you know, once again, you're gonna have to charge money for that. You're not just gonna throw that on Switch Online, because screw the consumer. All right, the consumer, he's a piece of crap. So now we have 3 GameCube games that are being heavily talked about. And like I said, we've talked about these already on the channel before. I'm just kind of catching you guys up to speed. But beyond that, we've had some new stuff. And once again, it doesn't look like this is going to be a part of Nintendo Switch Online service. The latest game has been getting talked about a lot is F-Zero GX. Now, F-Zero GX is a phenomenal game. It, of course, came out on the Nintendo GameCube, running at 60 frames per second. It did have progressive scan mode as well. And this game still looks stupid good. Like, when I play this game from time to time on original GameCube hardware with something like the Eon GameCube adapter or something like that, this game looks ridiculously good. Now, of course, this was a joint collaboration between Nintendo and Sega, which is something that would make a 90s kid lose their mind. Nintendo and Sega working together, they can't do that. Cats and dogs living in harmony, like, that's not ever gonna happen, but of course it did end up happening. So it seems like there is allegedly an F-Zero remaster being worked on for the Nintendo Switch, and this is a game that I think makes sense. A lot of people want F-Zero to make a comeback. A lot of people are fans of F-Zero, but I feel like it's a vocal minority with that, because let's be real, if Nintendo were to do a brand new F-Zero game from the ground up for the Switch, what is it selling? Is it hitting, 5 million, 4 million, even 3 million, or is it going to be sort of a more niche title? When you have something like F-Zero GX, a game that at its core is really tailor-made for modern platforms, if you just put another layer of put widescreen in the game and make the game look a bit prettier and stuff like that, maybe add some little additional things. Like, this is a game that's primed and ready for a return on the Nintendo Switch. And the whole point of it is, well, if that's the case, if people really want an F-Zero game, here is F-Zero GX. If you want this, support this, and then maybe we'll work on a new F-Zero. Kind of a litmus test with things going into it. But once again, we have another remake or a potential remaster for this game, so that means it's not going to come to Nintendo Switch Online either. And the final game that's being talked about, this is being talked about in smaller circles, but it is something that is a possibility because it is a game that is technically locked away on the GameCube, and that is Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Now, this has been something that's been picking up more and more steam. I'm still of the mindset where it's like, we're talking about Konami here. Okay, we're talking about Konami here, the antichrist of the video game industry, the company that's sitting on all these franchises, that's sitting on all these titles. It's never going to give us what we want. They're never going to give us what we want. But maybe that is a game that they will give us because, like I said, it's a game that's stuck on the GameCube. It was done for the GameCube specifically. Of course, it is a little bit different in terms of, I guess, the storytelling, you would say, versus the original Metal Gear Solid game. The cutscenes in this game were definitely more influenced by like Japanese, martial arts films. I feel like it was definitely a little bit more over the top when it came to the cutscenes versus what they did with the original title. But I love the game. I think the game's fantastic. And the fact that it is stuck on the GameCube, it's a very expensive GameCube game. This would be a perfect game for Konami to bring over to the Switch. Like, Konami needs to get it through their head. They have all these games. They have all these franchises. They keep doing all these compilations. Castlevania collection, Contra collection, Ninja Turtle stuff, outsourcing all this stuff, and they're making money. They're making money on these collections. They're making money on your nostalgia. Exploit my nostalgia, Konami. Exploit my love of Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. Exploit me. I'm ready. I'm like a 18-year-old girl who's living in California. Put me on the casting couch. Exploit me. Like, I want it. I need it. And there's been some teases for this game as well. But once again, you're not getting this on the Nintendo Switch Online service. And that's something that, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Because at the end of the day, I would buy all these games. The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess double pack, that's allegedly a thing. I'll buy that on day one. F-Zero GX, I would buy that on day one. I love that game. Metroid Prime, day one. But it's kind of weird. Because when you look at the competition, you don't have to worry or rely on remakes for a lot of Xbox games. A lot of Xbox games are available on the Xbox Series X. Sony says that they're going to put PlayStation 2 games on their premium services for their PlayStation stuff going on, the PlayStation Plus, but they haven't done it yet. But they say that they're going to do that. And I just feel like Nintendo could do this. They could just put GameCube on there. GameCube has been running on a lot of things for I have a Chinese clone console that I paid $100 for that allegedly runs GameCube stuff pretty damn good. So it's not like the Switch couldn't do it. But from a business standpoint, if you're wanting to test the market and see if there's interest in stuff like this, I think it's not the worst decision in the world. I would buy all these games. Your F-Zeros, your Metroid Primes, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. The GameCube was an anomaly of a system for Nintendo. It was an anomaly because it marked the end of Nintendo being involved in the Power Wars. It marked the end of an era with that. And there's so many awesome, just looking at my GameCube collection over here. Geist, I would love to play that game with HD visuals, done for HD visuals. Eternal Darkness, once again. Skies of Arcadia Legends, once again. Like, there's so much awesome stuff on the GameCube. So if this is how I have to have GameCube stuff to play on my modern console, at least at the very end of the day, I get that game on a cartridge. I'm not contingent on an online connection. I don't have to worry about the future of the Nintendo Switch Online service or any bullshit like that. It's all on my cartridge. So no matter what, I'll be able to play that game. As long as it doesn't require a download. And then I guess I'm screwed. My mouth is starting to get dry. I just woke up not too long ago. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Spawn Wave, you bastard. I knew you. I was laying in bed last night. I was like, Spawn Wave's going to make this video tomorrow. I knew he was going to do it. But he didn't put GameCube in the title. So I'll be the clickbaiter. I'll be the clickbaiting son of a bitch. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this direction, though, because it does seem like Nintendo is about to put a lot of emphasis on GameCube remasters for the Switch. Is this something you like? Is this something you don't like? You know, as much as I complain about the video game industry as it stands now, I did say in yesterday's video, which you should go watch if you haven't yet, that I like remasters. I like remakes. I understand them, and I don't think they're necessarily a super negative thing. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, hit the bell notification as well, and as always, go to hell, Spawn Life. I'm just kidding, I love John, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.